4 disturbing true sleepover terrors horror stories. 1. The Whisper at the Cabin. It was supposed to be a weekend escape, a time for laughter, shared secrets, and campfire stories under a starlit sky. A chance to disconnect from the world and reconnect with each other. A group of friends, 5 in total, decided to rent a cabin deep in the woods, miles from civilization, nestled in a thick forest. No cell signal, no nearby neighbors, just isolation, the whispering trees, and each other. The first night was uneventful. They roasted marshmallows, their faces illuminated by the flickering flames, told ghost stories that sent shivers down their spines, and eventually fell asleep late into the night, exhausted but content. But around 3 a.m., one of them, Ava, woke up. She said it wasn't a sound that stirred her from her slumber but a feeling, an unsettling sensation, like someone was watching her, their gaze heavy and unseen. She rolled over, her heart pounding in her chest, and saw nothing. The room was dark, save for the faint moonlight filtering through the windows. Everyone else was asleep, their breathing deep and even, until she heard it. Her name, whispered on the wind. Ava. Not shouted in anger, not spoken in conversation, whispered like a secret being shared only with her from inside the cabin, a place where she thought she was safe. She sat up, her body rigid with fear, listened intently, straining to hear anything else. Ava! It came from the corner of the room, a dark and shadowy space where there was only a chair and a curtain swaying slightly, as if disturbed by a gentle breeze. She whispered back, her voice trembling, "Who's there?" Silence descended once more, thick and heavy. She tried to convince herself it was a prank, a cruel joke played by one of her friends, until the curtain moved again. Slowly, deliberately, like someone or something was hiding behind it, waiting. She grabbed her flashlight, her heart hammering against her ribs, and yanked the curtain open, expecting to find someone lurking there. But there was no one there. The corner was empty. But on the wall behind the curtain, scrawled in something dark and flaking like dried blood, was a message. "Thank you for letting me in." None of the others had woken up, remaining blissfully unaware of the terror that had unfolded in the dead of night. And Ava, she never came back to that cabin again, forever haunted by the whisper and the message it carried. 2. The Campground Mine. At a summer sleepaway camp in northern Arizona, counselors told stories to keep kids in their cabins after dark. But sometimes, the real danger isn't the woods, it's underground. A group of teens, bored with ghost stories, dared each other to sneak out one night and explore a trail that led to an old mining shaft. They found it, half collapsed and overgrown. Still, curiosity won. They entered the mine, flashlights bobbing in the darkness. As they descended deeper, one flashlight went out, then another. Laughter turned to silence, then whispers, faint at first, like wind, then clearer. "Don't turn around!" One of the boys did. No one was behind them. Then a sound, metal scraping stone, followed by a dull thud, then again, thud, thud. They bolted out, panicked, sprinting back toward the surface. At the entrance, they found something half buried in the dirt, a rusted lunch pail and a miner's helmet. Inside the helmet was a torn newspaper clipping dated 1947. 5 miners missing, shaft collapse, bodies never recovered. They never spoke of it again, but one camper still hears the scraping and whispers whenever he closes his eyes. 3. The Possession Game. It was a Friday night sleepover, the kind filled with whispered secrets and daring challenges. 4 girls, fueled by sugary snacks and youthful bravado, decided to play a viral game called The Spirit Copycat. It was simple, or so they thought. One person speaks to a mirror, reciting a phrase, a carefully chosen incantation meant to mirror your soul. The idea was the mirror would show you your truest self, your hidden desires, your deepest fears, or something else entirely, something malevolent pretending to be you. They laughed, their voices echoing in the dimly lit room. They filmed it, each moment captured for posterity, or more likely, for fleeting internet fame. Of course they did. It was TikTok bait, pure and simple. One by one they went, each girl eager to see what the mirror would reveal. Nothing happened. Until it was Jess's turn. She stared into the mirror, her eyes locked onto her own reflection, whispered the phrase, the words hanging heavy in the air, and didn't blink. Not once. 30 seconds passed, an eternity in the tense silence. A minute. Then she started giggling, a sound that sent shivers down the spines of her friends. But it wasn't her laugh, it was deeper, resonating from somewhere far beyond her own throat. Throaty, wrong, unnatural. Her reflection blinked, a slow, deliberate movement that was out of sync with her own. She didn't. Her friends noticed, their laughter dying in their throats as a wave of unease washed over them. They started to panic, their initial excitement replaced by a growing sense of dread. Jess turned to them, her eyes gleaming with an otherworldly light, and said, "It's cold in here, like inside a grave." No one laughed anymore. The temperature in the room seemed to plummet. They pulled her away, their hands gripping her arms tightly, but she resisted with surprising strength. She wasn't acting. This was something far more real, far more terrifying. She screamed when they turned off the lights, a primal sound of pure fear. "Don't let it back in the mirror!" she shouted, her voice hoarse, clawing desperately toward the glass as if her life depended on it. They smashed the mirror, shattering the reflection and the hold it had on her. Jess collapsed, limp and unresponsive. She remembers nothing of that night, the events shrouded in a terrifying blankness. But ever since, mirrors around her flicker just for a moment when she walks past, as if acknowledging a presence she can't see. And sometimes late at night when she brushes her teeth, her reflection keeps brushing just a moment too long after she stops, a chilling reminder of the night she almost lost herself. 4. Room 6B. A family checked into a quaint old hotel nestled deep in Vermont. It had charm, history, and allegedly one room no one stayed in anymore. 6B. A room shrouded in whispers and unease. But due to a booking error and a storm closing nearby hotels for miles, they were reluctantly given 6B. It looked ordinary enough, clean, normal, deceptively so. That night the knocking started, a subtle disturbance at first. At the window, a gentle tap. Then at the closet, a muffled thud. When the father checked, a sense of unease washed over him as nothing was there. But the knocking grew louder, more insistent, angrier, like fists pounding against the walls. The daughter, maybe 7 years old, began crying, her eyes wide with fear. She said someone was under her bed whispering her name. Her parents, dismissing it as a child's imagination, lifted the mattress. Nothing. But under the bed, etched into the wood, was writing. A chilling message. It read, "Still here." They demanded to move, their voices trembling with a mix of fear and anger. The hotel manager looked deeply disturbed but said nothing, avoiding eye contact as he handed them a new key. The next morning the family, eager to leave the unsettling hotel, returned to get their luggage from 6B. But room 6B didn't exist. Room 6A, room 6C, but no 6B, as if it had been erased from reality. Later, driven by a desperate need for answers, they checked the hotel's website. No mention of a 6B. But on an old forum post, dated 2011, a guest wrote, "Woke up to banging on the walls, stayed in 6B, worst night of my life, never again." And the user's account? Deleted. No trace. As if the room itself was actively trying to bury its existence. Would you stay the night after hearing these? Drop your own sleepover terror stories in the comments. And remember, the night doesn't always sleep peacefully. Like, comment, and subscribe for more stories that haunt your screen and your dreams.